Hi, this is GILA. So, first of all, I'd like to wish a happy Brexit to British people everywhere. It's been a long time coming since the 2016 referendum, and although there's still a transition period until the end of this year, it's actually going to happen at last. When Britain entered the EU on the 1st of January 1973, it was essentially a trade association designed to bring together countries in Europe to prevent any more horrific wars devastating the continent as had happened only 30 years earlier. But over time, Britain and other members lost more and more of their sovereignty and the right to determine their own laws. Despite all the undemocratic attempts by various MPs and the biased anti-Brexit mainstream media coverage to try to stop it from happening, under Boris's leadership, we are finally leaving. And congratulations to the US Senate for throwing out the request for more witnesses in the impeachment trial than the 18 already interviewed in Adam Schiff's totally unfair and partisan inquiry in the House of Representatives. The verdict will be decided this coming Wednesday, but with a Republican majority and a high bar of 2/3 of senators being required to impeach the president, President Trump will clearly be acquitted then. This whole costly exercise of much ado about nothing by Democrats was essentially a continuation of all the efforts to get rid of President Trump because they didn't agree with the democratic decision of the many millions of Americans who elected him. There was never anything that could remotely be considered akin to a high crime or misdemeanor such as treason or bribery. Though, sadly, it appears that Democrats are likely to continue their hysterical and frankly unconstitutional attempts to overturn the result of the 2016 election and to try and dirty the president for the 2021, which is backfiring and going to backfire big time. But both these scenarios are essentially problems with powerful elites refusing to accept the democratic decisions of a majority of the people. And at least in the USA, according to the electoral system in place there. There's also a problem with those who run the social media systems used by the vast majority of people, notably Facebook and Twitter. The latest notable voice to be silenced on Twitter is that of Katiehopkins. She had over 1 million followers, and while often using interesting vocabulary such as cockwomble, she has been an important voice essentially promoting freedom, human rights and family values. However, colourfully and irreverently, she may have done so. Following a request from Katiehopkins, Gerald Batten posted an interesting document about this on Twitter from a gentleman named Imran Ahmed. No prizes for guessing his likely religion or ethnic background, who is the CEO of the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. And I'm going to give the URL of the British page for this organisation below. Mr. Ahmed has been in contact with Twitter, asking for so-called hate actors being shut down, with Katiehopkins being one of the names of the two people under discussion. The other name, by the way, was George Galloway, and unlike Katie, he's still active on Twitter. Is that, I wonder, because he is very much to the left and, like Comrade Corbyn, supports terrorists who maim and murder other human beings, but because they are anti-Israel and against the Jewish people, politically they fit into the leftist, elitist view of what is apparently acceptable. The undemocratic powers that be that run Twitter and other important social media sites, from that bastion of liberal political correctness, California, are hardly being honest brokers here. The maxim attributed to Voltaire that "I wholly disapprove of what you say and will defend to the death your right to say it" is just as important and appropriate today as it ever was. One person's perceived offensiveness is another person's opinion. But offending someone certainly shouldn't be a crime. For instance, some months ago I posted a video in support of Brian Leach, who was sacked from his job simply for posting a video clip by Billy Connolly in which he lambasted religion, and which some of his Muslim co-workers found offensive. In the end, right prevailed and Mr. Leach was reinstated. Now, as a religious person myself, I found that clip by Billy Connolly offensive too. But I don't have to watch it if I don't want to. No one's forcing me to do so. This gentleman had the right to post whatever he liked on his personal Facebook page, so long as he was not actively inciting violence or murder against other people, which of course he wasn't. And considering the large amount of untrue accusations and libel against Katiehopkins, Tommy Robinson, and other brave people who have not toed the politically correct line on social and other media, then it appears that false and denigrating accusations against non-liberals are perfectly acceptable. But sadly, freedom of speech is not. Freedom of speech is vital for maintaining all our other freedoms. Without freedom of speech, every other freedom will fall. Badly drafted hate crime legislation and the use of police to monitor what we say on social media in order to prosecute anyone perceived to be guilty of supposed hate speech when simply expressing an opinion is a danger to us all. So is banning Katiehopkins and other voices on Twitter. Do those people trying to overturn freedom and democracy realise what they are truly trying to throw away? How many people in the past suffered and died for us to enjoy the freedom to live as we choose within the law, for the majority of ordinary people to decide who rules them, and to speak our minds openly and freely? Let us hope that in exiting from the European community in Britain, we will have the chance to reverse all these hate crime laws and the politically correct nonsenses which are deeply detrimental to all our hard-won human rights and freedoms. Let's restore common sense as well as respect for integrity, honesty, and freedom of speech. We can all start at home with the people we know and meet. And if the mainstream social networks refuse to honour our rights to speak freely, to express our opinions openly, as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights stated in Article 19 only just over 70 years ago, then perhaps we need to switch to social media which actually respect our rights as human beings, entitled to think and decide for ourselves. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, a good week, and remember, speak out for freedom and human rights while we still have them. Goodbye.